Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today we have a card that I've made for Team Tiny Summer Florals Hop. So we had the option to pick between the 4 flowers that you see here. Don't ask me to pronounce the names because that ain't going to happen. There's a wild rose, there's a camellia, there's a daisy, and the other one I have no idea. I know what it is, but how to pronounce it, I have no idea. So this is a blog hop for Instagram. So if you search under the hashtag Team Tiny Summer Florals Hop, then all these cool cards are going to pop up for you to have a look at. And we actually even have a price. So you have the choice of one of the florals, and you can either pick. This is going to be randomly picked out of comment from one of the posts, and you have a choice between the 4 designs, and you just have to leave a comment on each of the videos and you can get an entry into the competition. And there's a double entry if you follow and commenting on the Summer Quarter Instagram page. So that is what Summer Quarter is, the people that have made these flowers. So I've used my silhouette and put them basically all together, because there was someone, I can't think of who it was. I always tend to do my florals going down around one side. It's usually probably around about the left hand side, going down the side and down around the bottom. But there was someone that I saw that had all the florals down the bottom and then a sentiment sort of filling in the space. I think I can't think of who it was, so please forgive me, I'm sorry, but it's like, everyone gets their inspiration from somewhere else. So I think this person had more of their florals and everything down the bottom, so I've used mine to fill up a bit more of the card front. So we're going to start with the wild roses. I'm going to use my R80 range, R89, 85, 83 and 81. And I'm going to show you one flower and then I'm jump ahead, because there is a lot of colouring. They're all pretty much coloured the same way, starting with the darkest colour in the centre of the flower and flicking and not really doing a lot of blending. I still want to see those flick lines and I still want to see some definition, and I'll actually go back in later on with a Prismacolor pencil and just add a little bit more definition, because some of these flowers leaves were very, very hard to figure out what they were, and that's my fault because I shrunk them down, and because it's what I had in my mind to do, so that's my bad. But I really, really loved how this turned out. So this is off the Team Tiny Facebook page, which is a small group of YouTube users, providers. I'll say providers because I'm an NDIS provider, so we'll go with that. So our daisies now, we've got 2 and a bit little daisies, and we're going to just put in some shadows of our C5, 3 and 1, and then I'll come back in later on with some yellow. So Team Tiny is a small group of YouTube makers, content makers, that'd probably be the right word, and we try to support each other in what we do, because it can be really hard, and it can be really hard when this is a lot of work to make these videos. It's a lot of work and you don't know quite what to expect and what's going to happen. So we just support each other, and they do these little blog hops where we can jump around and get some inspiration off some other people. So our yellows for the daisies are going to be Y18, 17 and 15, and you will see at the end of this video that a lot of my centers are not done. And the photos, you will see they are done. But at the end of the video, if you're like me, you're probably going, excuse me, Nat, you're missing something. But I do come back in later on. It is off camera. I can't help that because I did forget that I hadn't done those yet. But anyway, it doesn't matter. A camellia. I think that's how you pronounce it. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. So we're using our Vs, V28, 25, 22 and 20. Now, these guys, most of these people from Team Tiny are, a good chunk of them, American. So they are a bit more sad that their summer is finishing, some of them. Whereas I'm looking forward to these flowers coming out in my garden. Just normal roses rather than wild roses. So I just have normal roses. But there's going to be another challenge, I think it was, I can't quite remember, of the end of summer. And celebrating the end of summer and the end of their saying goodbye to their summer florals. And I'm like, bring it on, baby. I'm stinking cold. I got a heater at my feet and I've got my hoodie on. So they all think it's hilarious. But so I'm looking forward to these flowers coming out in my garden. My roses. I do have camellias down the side of my backyard. I don't actually have that flower that I'm not going to say the name of, but I have something very similar. Anywho, so the colours on this one, we're going to use, the one I can't pronounce is R89, 46, 24 and 22. So we're going to start colouring in our leaves. They're leaves now. So I showed you what colour we've got, which is your R85 for this one and R82. They're all a little bit different. The flower, the red flower, we're just going to call it the red flower for the time being, does come out a little bit brighter. It does stand out, but you'll see what I'll go through later on. So there's a couple there upside down. But we've got YG17, 24, YG11 and YG03. This one is rather a bit bright, so I play around with this one a little bit, and I will also come back in later on with my Cs and tone it down a little bit, because the great thing about Copics is that you can lay a colour over the top of another colour easily enough that it will just sort of, I don't really know the precise wording for it, but I like glaze it, give it that little, take the edge off it, and it just brings it down a little bit. Oh, we're a bit low here. So we've got YG63 and YG67 for our camellia flower. And like all the rest, I'm starting at the base with the darkest colour, and filling in the rest of the leaf. There is a lot of colouring with this baby. G17 and G14 for our daisies. We're going to go around the background, around that white in our Cs as well. I'm only going to use, I think it's C3 and C1. And I will actually use a pencil on that as well. And this is where I'm going to go in a bit with my C and just try and tone that down. I was a lot happier with that after I did that. It was good. So I decided to, that's what I was saying, the C's, the cool greys around in that background in the gaps. And I'm going to go around near the closest to the flower in the C3 and then just use the C1 to blend it out a little bit. I'm going to use a 70 warm grey pencil, only because I didn't really have any cool greys. And we're going to go right around on the left hand side of the flowers just to hopefully try and bring them out. Here I'm trying to sort of make for you to see it, but this one is black grape. And I did a little bit too sharp here. So you don't really see it on the really dark, on the camera you can't really see it on the really dark areas, but in real life you can. And then I'll also add some extra little lines. So it's just in that darkest area, and a light hand up into that white when I go and do some, where the flower dips in, concaves in. Is it concave or convex? I think it's convex. Where it dips down, the valley of those little petals, that's where I'm going to put right there. That's what I'm talking about. Just that little bit of shadow to give it a little bit more definition, that it's got that part that dips in. So there's going to be a shadow, a little bit of a shadow there. Not much, just a little bit. So I've done this fairly slowly with this one, just to show you. And I'm just trying to figure out where my dips are, just to show you what I'm talking about. And I think I do speed up and I do jump ahead, but that's what I've done with most of them. I've tried to keep this video fairly as short as I possibly could. And I possibly could have cut this out because I've shown you on one leaf, but on one petal. No, it wasn't really a petal, was it? It was a whole stinking flower. But I wanted to keep it in just for those people that may not have used a pencil over a Copic coloured image. I've done this with Copics. I think I've done this with watercolour as well. And I really love the definition that it sort of gives. Hopping over to the plant that we will never pronounce. This one, all these flowers are using the black grape. I think even when I do with I don't think I do too much with I think I use the silver one with the daisies. This green is kelp green. So the same deal. I'm going to do the same thing with each of the leaves. Add in that little bit of definition and contrast to it. And mostly I'm following lines that the person that's drawn these has already given us. So please like and subscribe. Click the little bell down below and it will let you know when I have uploaded a new video. And if you're anything like me, you can lie in bed early on a Saturday or a Sunday morning and just enjoy a little bit of YouTube. So, I think I say so a lot, but doesn't matter. Anyway, so we're just going through the greens. Now with the silver, same thing. This is all the same. But I just wanted to show you how to bring those front petals to the forefront and how to bring it around to just make it pop a little bit more. This is a warm grey, and you can see I'm just sort of mostly doing it on the left hand side of the images. And I think I go around some of the inside flowers, but not too many. It's mostly in that outer area. And that's our card. You can't really see it at the moment, but anyway. W+9 handwritten hellos. This is an older stamp set. I need to check. I forgot to check whether it's still available. But you can use any sort of sentiment that you've got. I really wanted to show you the colouring and how to, like, we're putting all these flowers together and the colouring and trying to make some of them really pop. So we're going to gold emboss this. Put our black matte in. And because I printed this image on some cardstock, it's curled. It's not anything that I've done to it because honestly all I've done is printed it at this point. But we're going to use our anti-stake pad and then we're going to stamp it out in some Versamark. and use some gold embossing. This gold is just an unbranded one that my local shop gets here in Australia. And it's a really pretty gold. Bit of scrap black cardstock. So this one is basically for now. So hello, I can't remember what it says. We'll see in a minute, shall we? But it's for now, basically. So we're going to use some white. And again, this is just from a local craft shop. So hello, it's been too long. I'm going to trim that down. And first off, I'm going to mount it up with some foam tape. But then I decide it's just too big. So I'm actually going to rip that off and mount it flat. That's pretty much going to be our card. We're going to put it on another piece of black cardstock. So the flowers are going to be 14.1 by 9.7, which is sort of my standard measurements. And the black piece of cardstock will be 14.4 by 10 centimeters. And I didn't cut that very straight, so we're going to go back in and fix that up. So I haven't really pressed it down too much. So with this particular phone, the strips, once you press them down, they're down. But if you don't press them down, you can move them around. So that's what I've done. And I'm going to trim, this is where I'm going to trim that down a little bit. There we go. I've trimmed it off. Oh no, I haven't trimmed it off camera. I thought I had. Anywho, so that's going to be our card. So if you put in the search engine on YouTube, hashtag Team Tiny Summer Florals, all these cool little videos will pop up and you'll be able to scroll through. Make sure you comment, leave a comment, because you can go into the entry for a choice of one of these stamp sets. And this is where I'm going to rip it up. So I ripped a little bit of piece of black a little bit, but it's not going to, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, leave a comment and like and subscribe if I can talk. That'd be helpful. And I hope you enjoy this card, and I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.